Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a particular house plant. It's called the Norfolk Island pine, which, as you can see, these two trees right in front of me, these two plants, they're both Norfolk Island pines. I'm going to just be rambling about different interesting facts about them, a little bit of care, what I like about them personally. So I'll start off with their scientific name is something like Araucaria heterophylla, I believe. They always sound strange and long, these scientific names, but yeah, and they're native to Norfolk Island, which is a very small island in the middle of the South Pacific Ocean somewhere, I believe. It's near Australia. And it's not really that well known of an island. It's because it's so tiny and it's isolated. It's really out in just in the middle of the ocean, kind of near like New Caledonia, Australia area on that side of the world. But I've actually Googled that island and it looks really awesome. It looks like a beautiful little island. It's got wonderful beaches there. I've seen tourist videos about it on YouTube. It's pretty neat. I've seen these trees, just tons of these trees, these Norfolk pines. They grow all over that island because they're native there and they just tower. These plants, they're actually trees, but they can get huge in their native island. I've heard that they can get to 200 feet tall, which is crazy. But they're so majestic and beautiful, of course, outside in their native environment, but they're beautiful inside too. This is why I like them so much. They're just very beautiful and unique plants. They are usually found in stores during the holidays because they resemble pine trees, but they're not really pine trees like a Scots pine or a blue spruce. They're not related to that at all. They're in a totally different plant family called like Araucaria, something like that. And it's a very ancient plant family which dates back to like prehistoric times. There's evidence that these have been around since the dinosaurs. I've seen these little short pine needles. I've seen that exact print in like rocks as fossils, so that's evidence that they've been around since prehistoric times. That's really awesome, just that alone. Like other ancient plants back then, like cycads. That's also another house plant, or a ginkgo tree, something like that. They're very old. It's a very ancient species. You don't really want to prune these trees because, as you can see, I don't know if you can see, but this one, the top of it has been cut off, like right here. And I just recently got these two trees, and they're probably fresh out of Miami, Florida, because that's where they send them from. And when they're outside, they can grow back better and heal themselves better from being pruned. But if you have them inside and you do that, usually they don't grow back from that. So I wouldn't recommend pruning them. They don't really need to be pruned. I think it'll just ruin their form. And as you can see, kind of from the top view, another name for them is star pine, and because they kind of, the branches and whorls kind of form a star shape, which is really nice. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend pruning them if you're gonna keep them inside. It'll just ruin their form. These plants are tropical, and as you can see, I've got them inside of a sunroom right here with a wood stove in the other room, so it keeps them nice and warm in here all winter long. I live in Massachusetts, which is plant hardiness zone 5, so it gets very cold here in the winter, below 0, so these cannot be outside. Only during the summer months. I usually put them out from May to September. As long as the nighttime temperatures hover about 50 degrees, they'll be okay. but any lower than like 45 and you'll have problems. The new growth will get stunted and they won't grow. So yeah, you want to make sure that they stay warm. I've seen people talk about humidity with these, but really I feel like the biggest issue with these is just giving them enough light and water and they'll do okay. I don't really go out of my way to make it humid in here. It's pretty dry in the sunroom because of the wood stove, and these trees actually do fine. I mean, as you can see, I've got other ones in here. I've got a big one behind there that I've had for 2 years. I have another one right here. And look at how beautiful they're doing. They just do fine in here. So, and I don't really do anything to provide humidity, but if you want to, you can, but I don't really think it's necessary 100%. Just don't forget to water them. I water them usually maybe once a week, because even if you forget just once to water them, the bottom branches could start dying, and once they die, they don't come back. And I've seen a lot of these plants where they're inside people's houses or botanical gardens and they're all limbless going all the way up the tree, because I feel like people don't know how to take care of them properly, or they don't really know what they are, and they don't water them enough, or they don't give them enough light. That's really the main issue, and all the branches will start to die, and once they die, they don't grow back. So yeah, you gotta make sure light and water, that's really the most important thing, and warmth. Other interesting things about these is actually if they're outside and you prune them, they, like I said, they will come back. Sometimes like they'll grow new growth. Most coniferous trees and evergreen trees don't do that. Like a pine tree, usually if you cut off, like if you cut it to a stump or something, it won't grow back, but these actually have potential to grow back. I mean, usually they don't, but they can. I've seen, only if they're outside, I'm talking about if you cut the branches off. Not that you would do that, but if it were to get damaged or something, I've seen them form new growth pretty quick. I think that's just a trait with tropical plants, and that's what I like about tropical plants. They just grow quicker in general, and really the only other evergreen I know that'll do that is a yew, but like 95 probably percent of evergreens will not grow back if they're trimmed too much. So you want to keep that in mind. As you can see, I have a little Norfolk pine right there growing in this container. That plant, I probably shouldn't have it in there. I'll have to take it out because it's too crowded. But when they're young, they don't really need too much light. From my experience, I've noticed they seem to do well even if you don't give them sunlight, even indoors. The smaller they are, the more shade tolerant they are. So that's one thing from my experience I've noticed. I have this big one back here, as you can see. I've had it for 2 years. I put it outside every summer, and just look at how beautiful it grows, and look at how big it is compared to these. It was about the size of the two I've showed you like 2 years ago, and it's just grown so much in those 2 years. As you can see, it's still putting on new growth on the top. And if you notice, see how the needles are pointed upwards? That's usually only a trait from these plants when they're outside in their native environment. Usually they never will do this as a house plant, but since I've had it outside all summer, it's kind of given it so much energy and strength to do that. But normally they don't do that. But I think that's just awesome that it's doing that, even though it's kind of a house plant. It's really interesting, and it's really a unique shape of the plant. I think it's beautiful. Sometimes I wonder if it would bear cones, because these do produce cones, but I seriously doubt it being a house plant, but I've seen these plants growing in all sorts of places outside. I've seen them growing in Florida. I've seen them growing in the Bahamas. I've seen them growing in California. So anywhere that's warm, they do really well in. I took a trip to Bangkok, Thailand. I've seen these growing in Thailand. They're just really beautiful. They get nice and tall. Like usually if they're not on Norfolk Island specifically, they won't get any taller than 100 feet, but they still grow pretty damn tall for because they are a tree. But you don't have to worry about them doing that inside, of course, because they're limited from the pot and everything and the ceiling. But usually they only grow, I've heard, about like 5 to like 8 feet inside. They won't grow any more than that. And I feel like when they get to that size, it's time to replace them anyway. But they sell these every year during Christmas at stores like Home Depot, Lowe's. So you can find them usually only strictly during the holiday season, like holiday months, November, December. That's really your only chance to get these. So they're not really that popular of a house plant that I've noticed. I've only seen them like you have to go to special garden centers or they'll have them year round, but it's rare. I usually don't see them. But yeah, that's pretty much it on the Norfolk Island pine. I really love these plants. They're probably my favorite plant. They're very unique. And it's the closest thing, to a Christmas tree or conifer that you're going to get that's tropical around around Massachusetts, because we're accustomed, like I said, to the blue spruce and white pine, stuff like that. But like I said, they're nothing like them, but they're the closest thing that represents them that's tropical, and I think that's awesome, because not many coniferous trees are tropical, so that's really awesome in my opinion. If you guys think of anything else, feel free to drop comments. Share photos of your Norfolk pine if you have any. And that's about it. Thanks for watching.